Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. I hope you have had a wonderful week. It is time for me to show you some high dollar sales. So I try and do these every other week. So I have 17 items on eBay, one on Poshmark that have sold for over $50 in the last 2 weeks here in April. And it is 2025. I try and remember to say the date and time because that's very important. I want to impress that upon you. Make sure you do current research because something that sells for $50 2 years ago could be worth 10 today, or it could be worth 500, or it could still be worth 50. You really don't know. So you really want to make sure that you have current comps when you are looking up items to price yours. So these are very current prices. Again, all have sold in the last 2 weeks. Really excited to share you these, and yeah, let me know if there's something that catches you off guard and you're like, wait, what? Why'd somebody pay that much? That's why I do these. Let's take a look. Up first is a very fast sale, and I don't know if I sold these too low, and if you're a jewelry seller and you recognize this signature, please let me know. I would love to learn what it is. So this is a pair of vintage sterling silver malachite earrings, oval cabochon omega back sign. So these sold for a best offer of $53.99 I sent out, which is 10% off, and they sold in under a week. These were purchased from an online estate auction. I am $5 in, making them close to $42 to $43 profit. And here we'll take a look at them and I'll show you the signature. So it almost looks like DBB. Not really sure. I could not decipher it. I did put on my title that they were signed, but I didn't put by who because I didn't know. And they still sold very fast. And this was a good profit. Again, if you know who that is and I made like an epic mistake, let me know down in the comments. Up next is a vintage St. John collection, orange and red ombre knit jacket. It was size 6. I did put collar and full zip, and I did put C. So this one sold for a best offer of $50 in about 2 months. I picked it up from an online estate auction and a lot of St. John clothing, and I paid about $20 per item. So this one's about a $20 profit after fees, but it did sell fast. Here you can see that tag again. And I say this every time, don't confuse St. John with St. John's Bay. And there was a stain on the interior of the collar there. And I did have this dry clean to try and get that removed. It did not work. So that is why I priced this so low. Otherwise, it would have been worth well over $100. Up next is something really cool that I think a lot of people really don't know about. And these are antique hook loop farmhouse chair stool covers. It was a set of 2. They were 14-inch. I got these for under $1 and they sold for a best offer of $50. Now, they did take a year to sell. I got them from an online auction lot with a bunch of linen, but $1 into 50. Talk about amazing. So close to a $40 profit on these 2, and not in the best of shape. There was some fading, a little bit of discoloration. The 2 really, the colors was a little off between the 2. Like they were not, you can see how this one's quite a bit lighter than this one, but they still sold for $50 even though they did take a year. Up next is one that took absolutely forever to sell, and it took a 50% off offer to get it sold. It took over 2 years, but it sold for $69. I got this in a box lot from an online auction for under $1. So this one is a $55 profit, but it took 2 years. So you really have to decide when you get stuff like this that could take that long, that you have the space for it. And I want to go back. This is only 4 inches. This is a very small plate for a $70 sale. Again, in a big box lot, make sure you research stuff. Even there's so much small stuff that sells for really really big money. Up next is a Coach purse. This is a brown leather shoulder bag. It was a Chelsea handbag pocketbook. I did put vintage and read. It had a scuff on the corner, and we do have that there. This one was bought in a designer buyout, and that buyout is in the profit. So we will say this is all profit. So it was 62. We average our fees at about 20%, making this a $50 profit. With Coach, some of them sell well, some can sell really high, and some sell really low. So my advice to you with Coach is to make sure you find the exact bag. Here is that scuff that we referred to in our description. The interior is pretty darn clean, but you want to make sure, even though that's a little scuff and really not noticeable, you want to point out any flaw. Next up is one that took a year to sell. This is a double ram's head clamper bracelet. I did put emerald glass green. It is by Gymcraft, and I did put vintage and rare. For me to put rare, there typically have to be less than like 2 or 3 listed on eBay. Sold for $75. I only paid $5. So this one's about a $60 profit. And this one was purchased before and returned. And there is that craft symbol. And this one was a good sale, a good profit, but it did take a very, very long time. Next up is a very, very fast sale. And I had a Larimar item in my last video, and we have another one. Larimar moves very, very fast if you are able to find it. This is a Mar-a-Lago sterling Larimar in white topaz. These are Omega back, and this is from the Marina collection. I did learn that through Google Lens, and these sold very, very fast. They sold for a best offer I sent out of $80.99. These were in an online sterling lot, so I was only $5 into them, making them about a $65 profit very fast, under a week for these to sell. And there's that Omega back. There's the sign, and amazing, amazing sale. Next up is another really, really fast sale, and that is a sterling silver Scotty dog brooch. This one is not branded, and it sold in under 2 weeks for full price at $59.99. I paid $5, so this one's a $45 profit, and it is hallmarked with sterling there, but there was no maker's mark. Super cute brooch. And I did find some similar. That is where I got my pricing. I used Google Lens, and an incredible, incredible fast jewelry sale. This was acquired from an online auction in a lot at about $5 for the piece. Next up are some Nike. These are Stussy Air Force from 07. These did sell for full price. They took right at 6 months to sell. And these are also from my consignment designer buyout, so it's all profit, so about $80 after fees. Definitely check your Nike shoes, because just like this one, a lot are valuable. Here you can see that number to look up there, that DJ7840. Really, really easy to look up. It is on the box as well, and you want to make sure you show any flaws, especially with Nikes going through the authentication process. If you do not show a flaw, they will send it back. And these were a great sale, and I'm okay with 6 months for an $80 profit. Next up is an antique Ethiopian Coptic cross pendant with twisted cord necklace. This one I picked up in an online estate jewelry lot, paid about $5, accepted a best offer of $72. This buyer actually messaged me and said, hey, what's the least you're willing to take? I told them $70. They offered me $72. And this one is over a $55 profit. Now, this one took about 6 months to sell. Not too bad for jewelry. This one is not precious metals, and a really, really great sale. Next up, this was an incredible sale. It was just in some random online auction lot. I think it had other dolls, but I looked it up and I was like, man, this thing is valuable. Listed it at 150, accepted a best offer of $105, and I only paid $1. This one is an $80 profit. It is 9 inches, so a little bit bigger. Beautiful antique piece and amazing profit that took about 6 months to sell. Next up is one that I got from an online estate auction. I only paid about $20 for this one, and it took 10 months to sell. So I sent out a 30% off best offer, which was for $130, making this about an $85 profit. Watch for Danbury Mint Looney Tunes stuff. There are quite a few pieces that are valuable like this one. There are also some that aren't, and that goes for every category and type of item. Make sure you're comparing apples to apples when comping if you are able to. I know vintage linens is one of the categories that really is very, very hard to comp. But with most things, you should be able to find something relatively similar. So really good profit on this one. A little bit longer to sell, but you see it's selling in April. You know, Christmas stuff sells year round. People ask me when should they list their Christmas stuff. I list it all the time. Really easy to identify and look this one up. It has named the Tweety Christmas Sleigh right on the bottom by Danbury Mint. Very, very easy. There is the certificate of authenticity. We did have the original box as well as the foam, and a really, really good profit. This ring I am really, really proud of because there was absolutely nothing like it listed. I couldn't find anything in Google Lens. I looked in WorthPoint. Absolutely nothing to be found. That $199 was kind of pulled out of my head. Now, I found this ring digging through silver for $1.60 a gram. This ring was under $10. I accepted a best offer of $170, and it sold in 2 weeks. Very, very fast. I did put antique size 10, holy water font, silver religious ring, unique artisan jewelry. Never seen anything like it. Couldn't find anything like it. If you know, definitely let me know, because I sure did look for quite a while. And this one is $130 profit very, very fast. So here you can see we do show it on the ring stand. If you sell jewelry, make sure to have all of these little displays. They definitely show your pieces much better. There is our ring sizer. It is signed. It's signed HD. It's signed 143. I could not figure out who the heck that was, but priced it up at $200, got $170, made a very, very fast profit. This is a really, really cool piece. This is an antique 1865 Evans patent 1854 percussion cast iron embosser vintage desk tool. How did I figure that out? Well, on the bottom it says Evans percussion, and Google Lens is your friend. I'm going to show you the back of it. It also said patent 1854. I got this from an online estate auction. I paid $180 for 10 desk items. I was under $20 into this, and it sold for a best offer of $405 in under a month. So this is over a $300 profit, and this is a very, very small item. If things catch your eye like this, look them up. There you can see that patent 1854 on the bottom, and tons of interest in this from the get-go. I love vintage desk items. If stuff is old, look it up. Look it up, figure it out. Like, you can type in the Evans percussion, you can type in the 1854, and you can find a comp. So incredible, incredible buy. There were a couple of other items in that desk item lot that are worth hundreds of dollars as well. So I paid up for the lot. I paid $180, again, though less than $20 in, and this itself is over a $300 profit. All right. Our number one selling item is this Gucci GG Supreme Monogram New York Yankees backpack. Baseball season just started. This was listed back in November and it sold for a best offer. I sent out 30% off for $700. And this is from my consignment buyout. That is all profit. $560 in profit on this backpack. It has been authenticated by eBay. We have gotten positive feedback, and we did have a certificate of authenticity we got with the buyout, but that does not negate eBay still authenticating it. So here you can see the entropy and that we did have the certificate of authenticity, but again, it went to eBay's authentication. It was authenticated. We have received positive feedback. This is stuff that, like this one I got from buying out a consignment shop of luxury goods. This is not stuff you're typically going to find at garage sales or a thrift store, though you might find them on estate auctions. If you do, I urge you to either know enough to tell if they're authentic, look to see if they have a certificate of authenticity. And if they do, look it up. It might be worth paying up for. And this was a great $700 profit. This is the last item for eBay, but I do have one to show you over on Poshmark. Up next is a very, very funny story. These are Steve Madden women's Campo Wine dark red tennis shoes, size 5.5, new in the box. So payout on these was $64. Brooke ordered, if you don't know, Brooke is my daughter, and Brooke ordered some really cheap slides for like 14 or 15 bucks. And instead of sending the slides, Amazon sent us these shoes. Now they are $100 on Amazon. When I comped them out, they're going for about $80 online on the secondary marketplaces. So that's where I listed them. And again, payout was $64. We did contact Amazon. They told us just keep the wrong item and they shipped out the right one. So their mistake turned into $64 profit for me. And I'm not complaining. Nobody here had a size 5.5 shoe. We all have bigger feet than that. So they were of no use to us. There you can see that sticker. And these sold very, very fast in about a month. And they were authentic, straight from Amazon, brand new in the box. And yeah, Amazon's mistake ends up money in my pocket. All right, that was everything. Some really, really good sales and a lot of really fast sales. So it's nice when the higher dollar stuff is faster selling. If you saw my bread and butter lower dollar item video a few days ago, those were taking forever. So I'm all about high dollar and selling fast. Let me know if any of these caught you off guard or you hadn't heard of them. I really do appreciate you watching. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and I will see you on the next one.